Well, Nebraska, actually, their defense held Ohio State in check when they played last year.
Yeah, they almost won.
Nebraska was here today. Very interesting conversation. Matt Rhule kind of got it started when he got asked a question about Dylan Raiola, and then Dylan Raiola continued it answering questions later in the day. Let's start with Matt Rhule talking about Dylan Raiola's development, moving from year 1 to year 2, and also what he can accomplish at Nebraska. Because remember, this is a guy who was committed to Ohio State, then flipped to Georgia, then flipped to Nebraska. And playing for Ohio State and playing for Georgia are very different assignments than playing quarterback for Nebraska right now. So let's hear Matt Rhule on Dylan Raiola.
Yeah, I would not have brought Dylan if I wasn't so proud of his work. I mean, he's done a great job with his body. He's done a great job with his knowledge of the offense, his growth with Glenn Thomas, our quarterback coach, and Dana Holgerson, our OC, his command of the roster of the team. Make no mistake, it's really hard to come in as a freshman with tremendous expectations and have to go be the leader. You know, having to tell, you're 18 years old and you're telling, 6-year seniors now with new rules, you're telling 25, 24-year-old men, hey, I need you to do this. It's so hard. So what Dylan did last year was really hard. And the thing to me, when you're a 5-star quarterback, like you probably breeze through high school, you haven't had a lot of adversity. Every time you go somewhere, people talk about how great you are. And when I recruited Dylan, I said, hey, come help me turn around Nebraska football, man. It's going to be hard. And doing something hard is how we become great. And if not, you go somewhere, you go play on the best team in the country, which is pretty cool. And every once in a while they need you to make a throw to win the game. And then you go to the NFL and the worst team in the worst city drafts you. And now you have to deal with all this adversity. I said, come to Nebraska. It's going to be hard. There'll be adversity. You'll be frustrated sometimes, but we will eventually do something great. And what I've seen from him, his maturity is he now embraces when he's frustrated. He embraces when things aren't going well. And he's the one, going back to the ownership I talked about, instead of saying this guy's got to do better, this guy's got to do better, man, he puts it on himself. He says, I'll fix this.
So that's a great setup for what Dylan Raiola was talking about, because he got asked a lot of questions about what Matt Rhule said, and he clearly does embrace the challenge of being Nebraska's starting quarterback and understands that this is a very different job than those jobs that Matt Rhule was talking about and those jobs that Dylan Raiola was committed to potentially take.
Yeah, it is interesting because I feel like if I were a kid, that would be a very compelling sales pitch. Obviously it worked.
Be the guy, be the one who did this, who turned this around, who did the thing.
It's like also too, Georgia is great.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're a hero in Lincoln, that's every bit as powerful as being a hero in Georgia and Athens, right? Like, I mean, they've got a pretty large, extensive,
possibly more powerful because they've been walking through the wilderness for a while.
Yeah. So I would find that appealing. The question is whether or not greatness is awaiting him on the other side. Because like that, to me, it's like if you want to go down as somebody who has won a playoff game or done something that is at the highest level winning, Georgia is certainly the place that you go with the least resistance.
Yeah.
But you go to Nebraska and you also have to take that risk at Nebraska that never comes true, which is, I think, a testament to his ability as a young person to embrace that.
Well, and he is trying his ass off to get Nebraska there. Here is Dylan Raiola talking about getting Nebraska to another level.
Yeah, it's crazy to kind of see what's really reality now for myself, but yeah, I mean it's cool. Nebraska deserves to be back on the map, and it's not because of me or it's something that I did, but it's just the type of program it is. It's a program ready to go win, and it's one of those top programs that's gonna be put back on top.
How important is it to be one of the people who helped get it there, though?
It's special. It's like we said earlier, those hard things, those hard times, will all come to fruition. If you just keep going, stay at it, and good things will happen.
So I love that quote. Nebraska deserves to be back on the map. That is what you want your guy who you challenged to come do hard things with you. That is exactly what you want him to say.
And I think that it's within relative likelihood that at some point in the next 2 years that Nebraska will be in a position to be playing for a playoff spot. They are not as dysfunctional as they were a few years ago. I think that, I watched them play. They play hard. Matt Rhule, I think, has done a tremendous job at multiple programs. There's a lot to like about who they are as a program right now. And there's a lot to like about, giving the person that comes to save your program the ability to play right away and to, grow and have those lumps. So I'm very keen on watching them this year, and I'm super excited to see how it comes out.
You guys need to hear Raiola talking about, I just called them the lumps, like the Iowa game last year. The Iowa game was a collapse in the fourth quarter for Nebraska. It was devastating. And it's one of those things that if you are a first-year player that you probably learn from. Here's Dylan Raiola talking about the end of the Iowa game.
Specifically to that game, I remember sitting on the sideline, didn't watch the kick, just hoping it'd miss it or our guys would go block it because they're really good at that. And it went in, and it was just a feeling I won't forget. But there's a lot of instances like that happen. But it's just a matter of how you respond and get back up and keep swinging.
So that's what you got to do. It's how you respond. I love the messaging, and it's interesting because I heard Matt Rhule talking about we don't tell our players what to say. Obviously, if they say something completely ridiculous, we'll make fun of them in a team meeting. Basically, is what he said. But this is how you message it if you are a QB1 at a program that feels like it's about to take the next step.
Well, the question to you that I have is, what do you think that he has to do this year? What does Nebraska have to do this year to accomplish that goal of putting Nebraska back?
Get better and get better for Nebraska. Because you think about the game, the Iowa game is a great example of this. They should have won that game. That should have been regular season win number 7 for them. They should have been 7-5, not 6-6. It was a huge letdown. You've got to win those games. And I think that's the UCLA game is another one. Was not a heartbreaking one at the end. It was one of those where they just looked awful and against a team they should have beaten.
Mm-hmm.
You can't do that. Those are games you have to win. But here's the thing: what if they'd won both those games? That's an 8-4 record. That is a
playoff team, according to Tony Petitti.
Exactly. But here's the thing: if you close those gaps, if you start winning on those margins, you go from 6-6 to potentially 9-3. Like that would be a huge step forward in the evolution of this program, especially considering where it has been the last 10
They
years.
have Michigan week 4. It's not inconceivable they could be 6-0.
It's not. If
they are who we think they could be.
The back half of the schedule is pretty hard.
Hell, it could be 8-0 for all you know.
But the thing is, like, they could go to Penn State. Like, I get Penn State's really good. But if Nebraska's having a good season, by the time they get to that game,
I'm wondering if you think about Michigan with Oklahoma and Michigan with Nebraska, what Michigan is going to determine a lot for some other teams too. That's another video.
Yeah.
But Nebraska does have an opportunity, especially because Michigan's a home game.
But here's the thing about Nebraska. Is you obviously have to win the Maryland game, the Northwestern game. That goes without saying. But you got to win the Minnesota game. Like that's the kind of swing game that you have to win if you want to get to that next spot.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think they can do it. And he's obviously got tools, and I just can't wait to see if he, corrects some of the things that I think ailed his game and takes that next step.
I'm very excited to see what he does, because I remember watching his interviews last year, and obviously he's a freshman getting thrown into this stuff, but you can see the maturity and the what he's learned, because anybody who goes through a season like that, who gets thrown into a situation like that, where you're a true freshman, all of this stuff is put on your shoulders. There's a lot to learn. And, Matt Rhule's basic message, it seems to Dylan, was embrace the suck, which most people can't do.
Yeah.
But it sounds like he's been willing to do that.
Yeah. Appointment television for me this year.
I can't wait. It's going to be so much fun.